Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Tuesday night TANAK and news briefing. Okay, this 23rd of June, 2026. Okay, my main topic will be Netanyahu's terrifying $14 billion plan to control our minds. Right, we're gonna play a video and we're gonna break it down what it's talking about. Okay, go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen for those that want to support this channel, help it move along. Okay, that too will be greatly appreciated. And I want to give a shout out to the people that have supported this channel. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and from Genesis to Malachi. And then the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer, our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. When it consists of our laws, our statutes, our judgments, our way of life. Okay. Um, the Lord was given to Moses to give to us. Okay. This channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days and understanding also who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay. Shalom and welcome to this channel and welcome to our Tuesday Tanakh and news briefing. Okay. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, and the Psalms. And then we have our topic for discussion. Like I said, it'll be Netanyahu's $14 billion plan to control our minds, right? And then we'll go into, I'll open it up for some questions, comments, and any dialogue, and testimonies. And then we'll go into our Tuesday night Tanakh and news briefing. We have a series of current events we want to shine a light on and connect them to our plight as Hebrew Israelites until the end times. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Giving us, O Lord, an understanding heart that we may discern between good and bad. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay? And with that being said, we'll read a song right quick. Okay? Okay, I'm going to read Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So that was Psalms 1, and it's blessed are the righteous. Okay, and so notice how he tells us in verse 3 that the man that's keeping the Most High laws, statutes, and judgments, and clinging unto Him, he says, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, and his leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And so, like I said, I can attest to that, because the sooner I found out, even before that, but the sooner I found out who the Lord of Hosts was, I started seeing it. I started seeing a difference in how things were coming my way, like out the blue, overtaking, blessings is coming out the blue. And so, like I said, I can attest to that. The sooner that you line up, find out who he is, and start doing what is required of you, everything start lining up. So, like I said, I can attest to that. Okay, you got anything on that, AJ?
Shalom, no sir.
Okay, let me get this right quick. Shalom, sister. I'm glad you come here. Yeah, this is we are non-Messianic, so in case you didn't know. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go to our topic for discussion, which is, like I said, we got Netanyahu got a $14 billion plan, and if you've been hanging around this channel, you know that they got this. They just set the stage where Israel looking like as if they're going to be destroyed. I've been saying over and over again how they got some hidden plan where they're going to make it look like the Lord of Hosts Yahweh delivered them at the last minute, the same way He did our forefathers back in the Tanakh, back in the Old Testament. And so let's check it out. Tie your shoes up.
Notice your TikTok feed feels different lately. You aren't crazy, it's changed. These are the reasons why, and these are the sinister forces behind it. In late 2025, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dropped a bomb in a room full of social media influencers.
We have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefield in which we engage, and the most important ones are in social media. And the most important.
So check that out. He said they got to apply to the weapons on the battlefield. Then he turned around and said the most important weapons on the battlefield, social media. So if you know anything about what's been said over here, we know that that's tied to the data centers. Okay.
Purchase that is going on right now is class TikTok. TikTok #1.
Why would a foreign leader care so much about a video app? Because a massive, coordinated financial takeover just handed control of the world's most powerful algorithm to a network of billionaires, tech giants, and defense contractors with deep, explicit.
They all Edomites. That's where everybody's sleeping at.
Financial ties to the Israeli military. This is the paper trail of how TikTok was bought, retrained, and weaponized to push you away from opposing genocide and into full-blown fascism. TikTok has become home to some of the most racist content imaginable, powered often by AI and fomenting fear in our communities. The new weapons of war were not just tanks and bombs, but algorithms and artificial intelligence. What we witnessed throughout the preceding months was a highly coordinated, Israel-backed moral panic. US lawmakers stood before cameras, feigning concern over data privacy and foreign surveillance.
I want to ban TikTok for a very simple reason. They allow the Chinese Communist Party to gain access to all of the private data on any device in America that's using TikTok. This company should be banned. I don't know why they're allowed to operate in the United States.
But behind closed doors, the anxiety was entirely ideological. They admitted it. They openly cited the viral prevalence of pro-Palestinian content among American youth as a national security threat.
Typically, the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites is overwhelmingly so among TikTok. The president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
The corporate media told you the algorithm was broken. In reality, the algorithm was simply reflecting the organic solidarity of millions of young people witnessing a genocide in real time. And so the hammer fell. Under the architecture of a forced divestment, a new entity was birthed in January 2026. TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. They installed a manager, Adam Presser, and almost immediately footage surfaced of Presser speaking at a World Jewish Congress event in occupied Jerusalem. He didn't speak as a neutral tech executive. He spoke as an architect of narrative control.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. You can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech.
Under his watch, enforcement actions tripled. Comment sections became algorithmic graveyards where phrases like "Free Palestine" are instantly auto-flagged and systematically purged. But Presser is simply the storefront manager. To understand how public consciousness is being engineered, we must follow the money. We must look at the cartel of private equity, sovereign wealth, and defense tech billionaires who now own the code. The heart, the brain, and the secure cloud infrastructure of this retrained algorithm has been handed entirely to Oracle. Oracle is not a neutral utility. Its billionaire founder and chief technology officer, Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest men on earth, has personally funneled over $26 million into the Friends of the IDF charity. His ideological alignment is so absolute that he reportedly offered Benjamin Netanyahu a directorship on Oracle's board.
I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them.
But it's Oracle's CEO and vice chair, Safra Katz, who lays bare the institutional complicity of this enterprise.
What if you could earn commissions simply by offering 0%?
What do you think so far, bro?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I think this right on point with what you've been talking about too. With you know how I started off with social media. They're talking about social media being their biggest weapon on the battlefield. Exactly. And I think that's tied to how you were saying about the annihilation they got planned. You know, social media helped them know exactly who to target.
Exactly, right. Right. Then they wanging everybody in the direction they want to go with because of TikTok.
Right. Okay? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In an Arab country, and you saw your entire screen filled with an Israeli flag, which said, not only we stand with Israel, we stand with our employees in Israel, we stand with the people of Israel, we stand with the military establishment of Israel.
Speaking at the Israeli-American Council, Katz described a visit inside the Kiryat, Israel's Pentagon, where she observed her own Oracle employees dressed in Israeli military uniforms.
I was in the Kiryat, and I go in and I meet with everyone you'd imagine I meet with. And on my way out, I run into, 5 of my team who are all in uniform working. And to be honest with you, it's like my proudest moment.
She then stated openly,
there's a few things that we did to advance the agenda for the Israeli military that I really can't talk about, to be honest. We have some really profoundly scary technology.
So you gotta look, this is crazy part. What's she doing talking about the military? Israeli military. All of a sudden, all these they talking about the military. Come on, man.
Oracle, and we wanted to make sure that it was available for the effort. Let's just say that, okay?
Okay. You don't have to say anything. Okay.
Let those words vibrate in your consciousness. The executive officer of the corporation that isolates, screens, and manages the data of hundreds of millions of TikTok users is doing classified work to advance the strategic agenda of the Israeli military.
The one thing I see, and also because we have had family members in these intelligence units, I love to go to those units. They show me some extremely cool stuff that they use our technology. And I have to say, a lot of these TikTok videos that are put out, ultimately of incredible things that the IDF does, you know, I saw that before.
2015 emails between Safra Katz and former Israeli Prime Minister and head of military intelligence, Ehud Barak, were leaked recently. Under the subject line, "I'd like your input," Katz emailed Barak to pitch a reality television show concept centered on women in the Israeli military forces. Katz explicitly stated that the ultimate goal of the television series was to humanize the IDF in the eyes of the American public. She urged Barak to sign on to the project as a consulting producer. While the show, created by Safra's sister, Sarit Katz, eventually premiered in 2024, Barak did not ultimately serve as a producer. This is the same Safra Katz who directed Oracle to pay double salaries to Israeli employees during the Gaza genocide. When you trace the financial capillaries of this new TikTok joint venture, you find a cartel of private equity firmly embedded in the apparatus of the Israeli occupation. If Oracle is the technological armor, look at the private equity firms providing the capital. Consider Vastmere Strategic Investments, a subsidiary of Susquehanna International Group. Its founders, Jeff Yass and Arthur Danchik, hold a staggering stake in TikTok's global ecosystem. Through their Claws Foundation, where Yass and Danchik serve as directors, they have funneled funds into the Israeli military through the Friends of the IDF. They have also poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Central Fund of Israel, an entity that the New York Times describes as a financial clearinghouse for illegal, violent settlement development in the occupied West Bank. They have even bankrolled the David Horowitz Freedom Center, which employed Tommy Robinson. This is the capital backing your TikTok feed. Virgo LI Inc. also owns TikTok. This is the personal investment arm of billionaire Israeli tech investor Yuri Milner. Milner's proximity to power in Israel is profound. He shares a social relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu spanning over a decade, a relationship so intimate that Milner was quietly questioned by Israeli police during the witness testimony collection for Netanyahu's high-profile corruption and bribery probes. Another owner of the app is the Dell family office, the personal vehicle of Michael Dell. In January 2023, his enterprise secured a $150 million tender from the Israeli Ministry of Defense, funded via US foreign military aid. Dell became the primary provider of the server networks, data maintenance, and IT hardware supplying the IDF and the domestic security apparatus. The very hardware that powers the administrative machinery of occupation is born from the same family fortune now buying a stake in TikTok. The reach extends into global surveillance and regional normalization. MGX also owns TikTok, a joint venture between Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund, Mubadala, and G42, the UAE's dominant artificial intelligence conglomerate. Mubadala holds a $1.1 billion stake in Israel's offshore Tamir gas field, co-operating critical infrastructure directly supplying the domestic Israeli market. Mubadala Capital poured $50 million into the private equity fund that fully owns the NSO Group, the notorious Israeli cyber intelligence firm responsible for Pegasus spyware, a weapon used globally to target journalists, dissidents, and human rights defenders. Another shareholder in TikTok is NJJ Capital, the family office of French telecommunications billionaire Xavier Niel. Niel's footprint in the region is defined by his co-founding of Golan Telecom, an enterprise that actively provides mobile network coverage to illegal Israeli settlements built on occupied Palestinian and Syrian land, settlements recognized as war crimes under international law. When you string these pieces together, the picture ceases to be about corporate restructuring or national security. It is an algorithmic coup. The Western ruling class.
Algorithmic coup. So it was a coup. They said no.
And the Zionist lobby realized they were losing the information war. They realized that generations of young people, unburdened by the editorial filters of legacy corporate media, were seeing the raw, unedited horror of apartheid through their phones. They could not change the reality of the violence on the ground, so instead they pulled billions of dollars of military-linked settlement backing capital, seized the digital public square, and re-engineered the code. They are filtering your language, they are suppressing your dissent, they are conditioning your empathy. They could not stop you from looking at Palestine, so they bought the screen you were looking through. The question is no longer just what are we watching, but who is controlling the eyes with which we see.
Okay, what you think?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. All of this just what he explained, and it makes sense because it just sounds like what we've already heard and learned about these new AI systems. But what's crazy how you know, and then Brother Leonard, but what's crazy how you always talk about the Illuminati bankers or the Edomite bankers rather. Exactly. He said they during that Gaza thing, they was getting double salaries.
Right, exactly, right. Exactly.
Follow the money, you know, who, you know, behind the wickedness.
Right. And notice how he said the whole thing is about a coup.
Right.
Right. And that's where the data centers and all that come in at. And we can already see, like I said, they're not trying to hide it. They're telling you that they trying to put on a show for you know the Hebrew Christian and the Christian Zionist that that's not the case. But everything we see is they combining Israel's military with America's military. They coming together as one. Okay, which is none other than the greater Israel. What their plans is to rule the world from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. And they bring it right in front of our face. Okay. So with that being said, before we go into our TANAK and news briefing, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. You got any questions about anything come across or you heard on this channel you want to talk about it or shine a light on it?
Shalom, yes sir. Brother Leonard, could you just in case some new people watching, but when you talk about the greater Israel, can you talk about just kind of what that is?
Okay, yeah. So where it all started at, and like I said, when people just you know, they finally get a grasp of that, what the New Testament is, then you start doing your research, and you come to find out that you know who JC is a concoction of Rome. These Edomites and these Romans, they concocted him when it comes to Constantine. But the thing about it is, Israel was ran out of the land of Israel in 143 BC by Antiochus Epiphanes that Daniel prophesied about, the prince that shall come back in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. So the prince that shall come, Antiochus came in 143 BC, and he ran the Israelites out. That's how we ended up on the West Coast. When the curses caught up with us, Deuteronomy 28 and 68, the ships came. That's where we was at, on the West Coast of Africa. But we had been there since 140 BC, 143 BCE. And then from that point, from 143 BC till 70 AD, Esau came in and stole the land. The book of Obadiah tells you that. They stole the land. They the ones was in the land of Israel causing all the drama that was going on during that time. And then in 70 AD, Titus and Vespasian ran them out, just like Daniel chapter 11 verse 14 tell you that they was gonna pick the robbers of that people was gonna pick up the vision, but they gonna fall too. So they picked the vision up. They built the temple, Herod temple. Then in 70 AD, they were ran out. And like I said, when you understand where they was sent to, they were sent to Portugal and Spain. That's where the Nina, the Pina, and the Santa Maria came from. And those are the architects of transatlantic slave trade, Esau. So anyway, when you understand all that, you go to Malachi, which is the last book of our scriptures, because the New Testament is not in our scriptures. So you go to Malachi, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. It says in the very first chapter of Malachi, we come to find out the Lord of hosts is talking to these Edomites, right? He said, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein have thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. And I laid his mountains and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now check it out what Esau tell him. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the borders of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, they if they're going to return, they had to be there before. Like I said, they came there, they stole the land in the book of Obadiah in 143 BC when Antiochus Epiphanes came and set up the abomination of desolation, and then Esau was there assisting. And then they came in, took the land over. And then in 70 AD, they was ran out. Okay? And so they told the Most High at that time, we're going to return. Though you kick us out of here, we're going to come back. Well, they went out. When you understand history, you go to the Nina, the Pina, the Santa Maria, the 13 colonies over in America. That's them running from the curses in Ezekiel 35. Like I said before in previous videos, we have the curses in Deuteronomy 28 for Jacob. Esau has curses in Ezekiel 35, and they are similar. That's how they've been passing as long as they have as Israelites, because they curses on them too. So anyway, they went all the way around to the Nina, the Pina, Santa Maria, and the 13 colonies and all that, all the way back around to this Second World War when they got the land of Israel back through the Balfour Agreement. And then in 1948, they returned. And they came back. That's the whore that the Bible's talking about. They're posing as the Israelites. It's in the scriptures. So anyway, that's what that's all about. And so they have a plan, and when they say they're coming back, they're going to rule the world from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. That's what the Greater Israel is all about, and that's what we're looking at. And they've been hiding behind the American government all the way to this point. Now they sticking the head up. They in the process of now, or the reason why you see so much drama and chaos in the world, and especially over here in America, in our government, they disassembling it. They're bringing it down, and they're gonna bring everything down because they're the ones controlling all the finance across the board, across the world. and they bringing everything down, and they want to rule the world from Jerusalem. And even if they do, even if they accomplish it, it ain't gonna last but a hot second, because the Lord of hosts already said that what he gonna do. Okay, and Ezekiel 35 at the end of, he said he's gonna destroy Esau and lay all his carcasses all over the mountains of Israel. Okay, what you done? Making sense?
Right, yes, sir. So yeah, and so I had just asked that just to and thank you for giving that history, just in case people didn't know what Greater Israel, and even that those people are not the real Israelites.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, you have so many people that don't know. I mean, even when it comes to understanding who the God Israel is, you have some people that say they believe in, they go in this, they found out that who JC is, and they don't deal with JC, but then they say Yah only, but they don't understand how the construct of what happened in the very beginning. In the very beginning, which is if you're gonna read a book and you're gonna attach yourself to it would be the first book I would attach myself to is the book of Enoch. Okay, that's where everything coming from, and they've told us not to read it. Like we looking at now, they got what the guy say, the $14 billion plan to hoodwink your mind. So they've told you don't read the book of Enoch. It's not good. So the average person don't read it, and then they don't read it in the context that they need to read it in, with understanding who Enoch is and understanding that this is actually the word of God. So he tells us in the very beginning, the Creator created 7 angels, archangels. And the first one he created was the Lord of hosts, Michael. And so when you go back to the scriptures, you're going to find out in the creation story, he's talking to somebody else. He don't have dementia. He's talking to somebody, telling them to create this and create that and create this. He's talking to the Lord of hosts. And so when they got hold of our scriptures at the Alexandria, after they got hold of our scriptures, they superimposed JC in there in the book of Malachi, when they say the word is in the beginning was the word. No, in the beginning was the Lord of hosts. Let me read it. And so, like I said, once you understand that, this Tanakh open up like a rose. Okay, so here you go. It says, in the beginning, God created, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God, that's an angel. Angel or minister spirits. The Spirit of God moved upon the waters. So in the very beginning, verse 2 verses, Yahweh and the Lord of hosts is there in the beginning. That's who he's talking to. When he says, and God said, verse 3, let there be light, and there was light. He's talking to this Michael, which means he who is like Yahweh, he who can create. So he says, make light. He make the light. Yahweh look at it and say it's good. And so then when you get to 26, chapter 1, verse 26, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle. Who is us? The 7 angels he done told you about. They all through the scriptures. He's dealing with, that's the Elohim. They keep calling Yahweh Elohim, when Yahweh not Elohim. It's these 7 angels. That's Elohim. El is 1 angel. Elohim is more than 1 angel. This is the Elohim right here in 126. So another example, let me give you a couple examples. Go to Ezekiel right quick. Okay. We go to Ezekiel. And so once this been laid out, I mean, You can, if you want to know the truth, you got to search it out, or you know, like I said, let it roll off like water on a duck back. But here we go. In Ezekiel chapter 9, this example right here says, okay, in chapter 9, verse 1, this is the vision of the slaughter in Jerusalem, right? He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them, check it out, cause them to have charge over the city to draw near, every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. Then check it out. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man with his slaughter weapon in his hand, a slaughter weapon in his hand, and one man. See that? 6 and 1. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. That's these 7 angels. Okay. Then we go to Zechariah right quick. They all through the scriptures, but they've been superimposed them out of the scriptures when they concocted JC. Chapter 3. Let me see. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of Zechariah, verse 10. For whoever despises the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and see the plummet of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord which run to and fro in the whole earth. These are 7 angels. This is in Genesis 1 and 26. And then when you go to the book of Daniel, they all through the book of Daniel. But their roles been denigrated. Even understanding who they are been denigrated. They're telling you that you know, what the angels, they denigrated the roles of the angels. But in the very beginning, Enoch tells us that the Most High created these 7 angels, 7 holy angels, holy ones. And so when you understand that, Yahweh is not a holy one. It's a holy one over Israel. Yahweh is not a holy one. Yahweh formed these 7 holy ones. And then Michael inherited Israel. Yahweh gave, when he sent him to Egypt, he brought the Israelites out of Egypt, and the Most High, he inherited Israel. So let me read that right quick. You know, we can get on something else. So let's go to when they was delivered out of Egypt. We're going to Exodus 23. So you go to Exodus 23, verse 20. Yahweh came down on top of Mount Sinai. It says Yahweh came down in the mountain, all together quaked and erupted. So we see whoever it is dealing with these other prophets, all that ain't happening. But on Mount Sinai, when Moses brought them to Mount Sinai, Yahweh came down in the cloud on the mountain, and the mountain all together quaked. So he tells Moses in chapter 23 and 20, behold, I sent an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Where you taking them to? The land of Canaan. It's not Yahweh. This angel taking them to the land of Canaan. Now watch what he say. Beware of him. Go back to what they did with JC. Beware of him. Obey his voice, not Yahweh's voice. Obey this angel voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So this angel is overseeing. He's over the transgression, and he got Yahweh name in him. These are the same characteristics that when in the New Testament, they laid on JC. Okay, 22. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then will I be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. So he at this point, he sent him to deliver the Israelites out of Egypt. He delivered them, brought them to Mount Sinai, then he put him over. He inherited it. Like I said, the scripture tell you, whoever it is over Israel inherited Israel. So Yahweh can't give Israel to himself. He gave Israel to this angel right here. Like I said, that was there in the very beginning. Don't get no plainer than that. And then one more verse. So he says, Let me get it. Yeah, Isaiah. Isaiah 44. Okay. And we at verse 6. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer. See that? His Redeemer. That's what JC supposed to be. This is a Redeemer way back in Isaiah 44. Thus saith the Lord, King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, and I am the last. Besides me, there is no God. So we see right here, here go the same two I told you in the very beginning. Yahweh and the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts is the Redeemer. So Israel already had a Redeemer way before they concocted JC. So one more verse, 43 and 10. Isaiah 43 and 10. And he crying out in the scriptures because they didn't denigrated his role. So he says, ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, there was no God formed. See that? They read over that word. So he's telling you right here, out of the seven, I was the first one formed. Ain't no other L like me. See that? Neither shall there be after me. Then he killed it in verse 11. Even I am the Lord, and besides me, there's no Savior. He's not trying to be the creator. He's a redeemer. Yahweh got him, his role is the redeemer of Israel. The redeemer of Yahweh's creation. He ain't trying to be the creator. Yahweh the creator. Okay, that make any sense?
Definitely, yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, so like I said before, been doing this for a minute, but it ain't nothing but a matter of time. When you understand the Lord of hosts, the truth gonna rise to the top, like the Most High said. After all the bull crap, it's gonna rise to the top. So you be like Abraham and you be like Joseph and tarry and wait. Because what he said gonna come to pass is gonna come to pass. Okay? You got anything else on that? You got any other questions?
Shalom, no sir, that was it.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, about maybe a couple months ago, I started doing this TANAK and a Tuesday night TANAK in news briefing, and the objective of this briefing is to combine the TANAK, which is the Old Testament, the Holy Scriptures, and bring the current events and the end times and the Lord of Hosts prophecies for the end time to life. That's the purpose of me doing this, okay? And so I deal with current events and connect dots to them to the end time and to the Tanakh, okay? So here goes my first video right here. Okay.
You were told that you could not use water anymore. Well, this is a serious warning because this is exactly what is happening in many cities across the United States. That in some cities, officials are telling the residents at no time can you ever water your lawn. Do not wash your car, and if you can, do not wash your clothes. That's what they're being told, and many people are freaking out, and rightfully so.
So what we have done, it started as a voluntary closure of businesses and telling residents to only use water for emergency things like hydrating yourself. What we are telling residents they should not be doing is laundry. Certainly no irrigation of lawns. It now currently has 33 feet and it's rapidly depleting as people are using the water.
What he's talking about is a water tower. It's dropped from like 44.5 feet to 33 feet in a matter of hours. This is in Oregon. Here's the thing. There are many spots throughout the United States that have water shortages. We are in the verge of a drought, okay? In many spots, we are so close to a severe drought. Look at this. It says this summer, the American water crisis becomes real. Concerns over water access are poised to consume summer in the U.S. as crises in Corpus Christi and across the Colorado River threaten to boil over. What I can tell you is that in certain areas, especially
So this the coup right here. We witness it right here. This part of the coup.
Especially in Texas, there are restaurants that were told by city officials they are no longer allowed to serve water. That if they are going to give somebody water, it has to be requested. You cannot give free water. And in some spots, they are not allowing free water. They won't bring you a cup of water and put it at your table anymore. Not for every single person. Instead, you have to pay for it just like you do a juice, a soda, or even a beer. This is turning into a real disaster. Listen to this.
People are going to have to drive to get water for potentially up to 2 weeks, as you just heard. We are deploying porta-johns in all of our parks. We will display where those are. You might choose to go use the facilities in a porta-john at a park. This is the real situation. People are going to...
What most people don't realize about this is that there are certain areas where you will not have any water. You want to water your plants? Well, you're going to have to go get it somewhere else. Okay? You have to bring it in. And again, this is what's crazy about this. And I think this is very interesting. Okay? So this is, they're talking about, this is Chief Allen, but he's talking about the lakes and how we're, there's just a evolving crisis or whatever, right? But here's the thing, and the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention. This is what other cities and other counties could be facing here in the U.S. in the matter of weeks or months. We could see many locations have an extreme water shortage where they're telling residents you cannot use water or can only water your lawn on certain days unless it's freshly sodded and you need to use the water. You can't fill a pool. You can't wash your car. Telling businesses, well, you have to shut down because I don't want you staying in business because you're using water. Think about that for a second. How is this going to impact us? But at the same time, and this is why I did a video on this yesterday, and I talked about earlier, talked about data centers and how data centers are one of the biggest issues because people are saying that the data centers are operational, they're running, they're bringing in millions of gallons of water. They're using that to keep the data center cooled. But at the same time, the residents that are the ones that are paying all the taxes, doing all this stuff, allowing the data center to come in, they're being told, no, you can't have access to water. Think about that for a second. But I want to show you some of these other stories. Look at this, because again, it's not just localized to one region. Look at this. It says water shortage emergency now includes most of Casey County. Casey County is in Kentucky, okay? Now, Casey County, they're being told to conserve water as we speak because there's a shortage. Look at this. It says a water crisis deepens. Idaho producers look to the Farm Bill for relief. But do you think there's going to be enough relief? Probably not. This is the concern. It's unsustainable. There's no way all these world famous wineries are going to survive. And people are going to struggle as a result. That will completely change. People will not be going to Napa Valley. I know a lot of people that love going down to Napa, okay, because they like to do the wine tasting. They like to just go, eat. They spend some time down there. It's great fun. But they are not going there because things are changing.
What you think?
Shalom. I think I'm coming too with this one, Brother Leonard. I even got a little message from the water people. Like you said, don't be watering your lawn, or don't, exceed a certain amount, of water or whatever. So like I'm seeing some of these things in real time as well.
All right, and then like the guy said, they putting data centers priority over the American people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the man just told, we just looking at how all these billionaires, the same billionaires we just looking at, they the ones got on the data center. And they tied to military applications. Like he said, how long you think this is gonna last? This shit coming to an end. They got a plan. Okay? So check it out.
What we're really seeing is the end of the American empire. And a lot of this relates not just to the military side of America, but also relates to letting the manufacturing sector run down. And this is something which the West in general has done. There was an attitude after Maggie Thatcher and Ronald Reagan that the future advances of Western civilization would be in services, not in manufacturing. So they didn't think it was important to have a manufacturing sector. There was decisions to let manufacturing itself move to third world countries, including at the time China, and that there will be, we can maintain the design facilities in America. So we design in America and build in China. That makes America the dominant element. I think that's failed. China has managed to industrialize and develop not just the manufacturing capability, but the design capability as well. We are in the middle of a transition from a period in which America was the dominant economic and political power on the planet to where China is. And these things are always messy. And I think America, this is the end of the American empire. It's the beginning of Chinese economic and political domination of the planet. And the ironic thing is, and this is something which...
So what you do when you hear this? You know what I'm saying? The average person hear this, they ain't trying to hear this. They don't know whether to go left, right, or what to do. But they're telling you this, the alarm bell's going off. Okay? And the creator already said that. Whatever I spoke gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Whatever I spoke, it's gonna come to pass. I'm gonna perform it. Okay? And we see in the past, he's always brought about drafts, starvation, to move us, because these Negroes ain't gonna move. Just like in Egypt. Why you think the 10 plagues came? To move them. They wasn't going nowhere. The whole time they was in the wilderness, they was crying about why he took them out of Egypt. Right? He's doing the same thing now. They ain't going nowhere. You got a bulk of people talking about they native of this place. And that the transatlantic slave trade never happened. Okay?
Which, to me, it's ridiculous, is that this should be the year that America celebrates its 250th anniversary. It's 250 years since the foundation of the American state, 1776 to 2026. This should be a period of celebration of that 250 years. You don't even see a mention of it, even from Trump, ironically. You would imagine that somebody who's as egotistical and narcissistic as him would love to be the president for the 250th anniversary. But rather than doing that and riding that publicity wave, he started this ridiculous, unnecessary war. And I think it means that the American empire is ending after 250 years. Oh, yeah, there's no return. If you call normal what applied before the invasion, the war against Iran, then normal will never return. And there's many factors behind this. For a start, previous military failures by America took decades. This failure is taking months. Okay. Secondly, previous military incursions like in Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, and so on, didn't particularly damage the production facilities of the entire planet. This one is. We're cutting out something of the order of 10% of the global energy supply, 30% of 30% of fertilizer. It's the same of helium. Sulfuric acid supplies are being massively depleted. I think it's been done in such a clumsy way. It's affected so much of the world so badly that there will never be a time again where the rest of the world trusts America, because it isn't just a case of saying we can't trust Trump. It's also saying we can't trust the American political system to give rise to somebody as a leader who has judgment and has restraint. And on that basis, you do not allow a wild card like America to dominate the planet anymore. And as whatever people might think about the leadership of China and China's potential for expansionist policies, they, I think, are going to say anything is better than a system which can throw up somebody like Trump. You can't trust the American political system. Not only can you not trust Trump, you can't trust the American political system in the future. So America's status has been massively diminished by this. I don't think it'll ever recover. And we are now seeing a transition from the American empire to the Chinese empire in real time.
Oh, that's
yeah. So like I said, we looking at the in the book of Daniel. You listen to these Edomites, let them tell you, do the breakdown for you, that these 10 toes on the 4 beasts is 10 kings at the end with the Antichrist. When the Antichrist already came, Antioch Epiphanes was the Antichrist. So these 10 toes, when you go to the second Ezra, he tells you these 10 toes are 10 kingdoms that one after another one. The 4 beasts gonna be reincarnate itself 10 times. America was the 9th reincarnation of the 4 beasts. And now we're looking at the last incarnation, which is China. Back in the 1980s, they start sending all America's equipment over to China. These Edomites, bankers. And then that's how China got to where it's at. And so now what we're looking at is them, they are manipulating like they always done, and they bringing in, they doing a slow demo job on America, and they started bringing in the Chinese empire. And they're gonna use the Chinese empire to bring in greater Israel. That's their plan. Okay. That's what we're looking at. So it's not no 10 toes, 10 kings gonna come together with the Antichrist. Second Ezra tells you it's like I said, one kingdom after another one. Started with the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire received a wound in the head, and then it fractured into 4 parts. Constantine came and he warred against those other 3 kings, brought the Roman Empire back. That's the beast that received a wound in the head and did live. It was the Roman Republic at first. After Constantine got hold to it and it had our scriptures, now it became the Holy Roman Empire. And then we know it went from there to the French, then to Belgium, on down into the Ottoman Empire. It came on down to America. Britain, then from Britain, they branched south and came here to America, the 9th beast, the 9th incarnation of the 4th beast, and now we see the last beast coming into play, just like Second Ezra told us. And like I said before, if you listen to them, you ain't gonna know none of this because they didn't told you not to read these books. And you listening to the enemy, okay? So anyway, you got anything on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. You played a video a while ago now, but it was talking about how a lot of empires end after 250 years.
Right.
Remember that one? And so to me, it's just kind of interesting that we had the 250 year mark with America, and it's basically over.
Right. When you understand who the architect is, Esau, he's the architect. So he's doing exactly what he's been doing. The Bible tells us if Jacob not ruling, he ruling. So all this time, the last 2,500 years or so, he been ruling. But he done manipulated everything. Got people thinking that he don't. I had some brothers saying that the Esau has been done away with. How is he done away with when the Most High telling you that the harlot, the beast the beast at the end of this is Esau. It's decked in red. That's his color, ain't it?
Exactly, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So check this out.
It's your boy Trace, and I'm back here to do a video for you guys today. Before we get into today's video, I just have to say a couple things. As you guys can already see, it says here, AI taking over hospitals. Now, me, you guys may think the same way I do, and you guys may think differently. That is okay. But the way that I see AI is it's like a battery, okay? It has a plus and it has a minus. And what it is to be used for, I know, different people use it for different reasons. But that's why I say it has a plus and a minus. What exactly is being used for? The plus that I see is it's very fast, it's very convenient. You can get an answer, certain things just like this is done in the snap of a finger. But another way that you look at it as what this gentleman has posted, AI taking over hospitals. Individuals got jobs. Will they have jobs in the future? There's a lot of questions that we don't have the answers to fully just yet. But I want you guys to take a listen to what he says in today's video. Take a listen to this.
Folks, I've been telling you that the world is moving fast. It's automation, it's artificial intelligence, robotics, and you keep thinking that this is the future. So today I try to give you real life examples. Today I come get a blood test for one of my policies, and I'm in this beautiful medical facility here, right? And it's very nicely done, right? Very nicely done. Everything about it is first rate, right? And I'm impressed with the facilities and all of this is very beautifully done. Very beautifully done. But upstairs, and I'll show you a couple pictures. Upstairs, when I go, one thing when you're noticing or you're not noticing, a lot of employees. Look at this hallway, right? Not a lot of employees walking around. And upstairs, I'm very quiet. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I just got to show you. So upstairs, I go to get my blood test, and I've never seen this before. I walk in the waiting room, and there's no reception area.
It's happening fast, and many people are still like, no, we're far away, we're far away. Me personally, I don't think we're far away. I think we are right there.
Exactly.
100% right there. I'll give you guys a good example. So I moved, and I had a doctor office visit appointment set to go see my primary doctor at the time in the state that I lived in. Totally forgot about that appointment because I scheduled it like months in advance. Months in advance. Like it totally slipped my mind, especially with moving and whatnot. So I get a call, and I couldn't answer that at the time, so they have to leave me a voicemail. So I called them back. When I called back, I thought I was speaking to someone, and it turns out I wasn't. And guess what? They were able to cancel the appointment without me actually speaking to someone. They were able to find me in the system with my phone number, my information, repeat things back to me, and cancel my appointment without physically speaking to someone. Think about that. Think about that. Let's continue.
My wife almost divorced me because I couldn't get hard anymore. I'm 40. This is what.
It's a machine. Just like you go to Taco Bell or Burger King or go to a restaurant, or go to increasingly restaurants, but they've automated it. And I had to check myself in. Give my ID on the machine, my insurance card, or whatever it is, and it gives you appointments. As you can see, either chill there or go away and come back 10 minutes for your appointment. They just reduced, and whoever owns that, and it's a business, right? It's a medical lab processing facility, and they have to be certified and get state and federal certification. It's business. It's owned by somebody who's a capitalist, and they just cut out 20% of their costs because they only have lab techs in the back, nobody up front anymore, no reception. If you have a high school education and no hustle, and you just want to chill, this economy's going to eat you alive. You've got to get AI, computer, and technology efficient and literate, and I mean quick. This world, this economy is changing fast, and you've got to change with it. I'm not trying to scare you. Well, I am trying to scare you straight into a new reality. I want you to be employed. I want you to be with jobs.
There's no.
Listen, I'm telling you guys, technology and everything is moving very, very fast. Like it just, and like the way that I look at it is like a few years ago, I was able to, roll my windows down in my car with my arm. And now it's like it does everything for you. We have this new vehicle where you can like lock the back windows. Kids are sitting in the back, you can lock the door. So even if they try to open it from the back, you have parental control. One of my newer vehicles, she wouldn't even know where to start. It just goes to show you guys how fast things are moving. Like, I remember going into the hospital back then, there were a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors, it was cluttered, just a lot of walking around moving. Now, you don't really see much of that. And some are going to say, well, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that.
Okay, what do you think? Okay. Yeah, so like, okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go. I was gonna ask you what you thought about that. I didn't.
Oh no, it's just showing you how the technology, how fast, like the guy said, is in the hospital, there ain't nobody there. It's all robotics. And like what you have to understand is tied to the data center.
Okay, and because and Brother Leonard, you remember that it's a video too you played last week where it was talking about my fault, my mind's spinning, but the guy who it wasn't Elon Musk, but it's another dude that got all those robots that they was saying they was gonna be on the road like this summer, I think they said.
Right, exactly, right, yeah. They say you got all those the tech billionaires they just mentioned, all of them got these big mass orders in on robots. And it's all projected to go in effect 27, the year 27. So, like I said, it ain't hard to see what's going on. Okay. And like I said, they saw on the bottom out from under the United States government. It ain't gonna be long till they do that, just that. And they're using this whole thing with the Iran war and all that. They saw on the bottom out from under our government and our control. Okay, so here we go. Let me get this right here. Yeah. So, like I was saying, if you want to come in and come in on the channel, whenever we have different shows or whatever, you can call 337-802-0889, and then we can be sending you the link. And we have a women's advanced Bible study on Thursday nights, every Thursday night, 7 to 9. So you want to get that link and be able to come in and engage. And then it's all good. Here we go.
Right now in the region. The core issue in the region is Gaza, and it is the determination of the Israeli leadership to Gazify everything they want to own. In other words, whether it's southern Lebanon or most of Lebanon or southern Syria or most of Syria, wherever they go, the Gazification process has to be implemented first. So that's the issue. And you're not going to get any resolution. You're not going to get any end to this disaster until that's addressed. Now, how do you address that? Well, you've got to stop the Israelis from doing what they're doing on the West Bank right now, which is destroying villages, Christian, Muslim, doesn't make any difference to them. And you've got to regain control inside of Israel of everything going on inside the state. And right now, you've got Jewish militias operating independently, settlers, Israeli citizens. They are loosely affiliated with potentially elements of the Israeli Defense Force. But my point is, it's no longer a unitary state as it was at the beginning. So that's a problem. And then finally, how do you solve anything unless you accept that some form of a Palestinian state has to exist? That's impossible. The Israelis have made it impossible. There can be no Palestinian state, and the Israelis are not going to integrate themselves or assimilate themselves into the rest of the Middle East. They've refused to do that in the past. They absolutely will not do it now. And frankly, I don't see how they can. How can you tell everyone who is your neighbor that they are subhuman, that they are animals, that they are unworthy of life, and then expect to be welcomed with open arms in the aftermath of some sort of new agreement that's signed by the President of the United States and whoever else? Persian Gulf has created chaos, financial, economic, strategic chaos. So, you know, what do you say to somebody that insists? I mean, what if you were married to someone and all of your friends hated the person that you married and said terrible things about her? Well, you know her and you don't agree with that. So you have a choice. You can listen to all of your friends or you can stick with your wife. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. And I think President Trump is thoughtful enough that he knows that the things that Iran is being accused of are not valid. And he now knows that the Israelis are capable of things that neither he nor I nor many of us ever thought was possible. I certainly did not.
I didn't.
And so I don't think it works. And, you know, Mark Thiessen's comments notwithstanding, it's a disaster.
Is that not what the Lord host said at the end? That they was going to hate the whore?
Right. Exactly. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so what I was saying earlier, was when they bought TikTok, they you know, this just going to speed up what the Lord of Hosts is doing, because they right flat out trying to usurp the Most High's what he prophesied. They trying to turn the tide on what's happening with the world, understanding who they are by purchasing TikTok. And like the guy was just saying, put a twist on the algorithm to try to make it look like to turn it in their favor. So they actually kicking against the bricks. So imagine that. Okay. Here we go. We're gonna let this man here talk for a minute. I thought it was pretty interesting what he was talking about.
For oil.
Okay, here we go.
And you are ready for next week for the new.
So he's saying that Iran caught America and Israel off guard.
Week per se. Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu just got hit with the ultimate strategic blindside. That's the only way I could think about it. Only 3 days after the digitally signing ceremony of this peace deal and the MOU, that is, Iran did the unthinkable and slammed the Strait of Hormuz shut, catching the US and the Israeli intelligence agencies completely off guard. While Washington scrambles and Tel Aviv faces some sort of a sudden now multi-front nightmare. One terrifying question remains, and the question is, how did the two most sort of strong, some might call them powerful militaries on earth, let themselves get outmarched by a single geographic trap?
Here's what comes off a bowl of strawberries when you drop this device in the water. These berries are
It's very fascinating. It's just how we just underestimated where things are. As of now, Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz once again, even though the U.S. Central Command is stating as of this morning, oh, Strait of Hormuz, the traffic is fine, ships are moving. It's a lie. So in this live stream, in this analysis, I'm going to share with you, first of all, what prompted Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz again. Then I'm going to provide you the geopolitical context, and I will conclude with one particular development of an event that I'm going to do a live stream for you about it. It's just I am waiting for confirmation. And that particular development, in my opinion, is what prompted Saudi Arabia to lash out at Israel. Very, very interesting dynamics as things evolve and move forward. So what we have basically We have Iran announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Let me put the map for you. Oh no, this is the thumbnail for that one. Let me put the right there. Closure of the Strait of Hormuz in response to the continued Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon, alleging that the United States, this is what, it's not alleging, this is exactly what Iran stated on the record, is that the United States failed to rein in Israel. That violated now the newly signed ceasefire agreement, because one of the first clauses in that MOU was that Israel has to hold its operation in Lebanon. And Iran made it clear that the US will be held responsible if Israel violates them. Well, here we are. That tells you right there who's in charge. When Donald Trump is saying, "Oh, I told Bibi Netanyahu,"
like he said, like I said, we're looking at prophecy. They can't avoid it. He said, he tells us the harlot is going to, it's a whore riding on the fourth beast. The whore is the one controlling the fourth beast, not the fourth beast. The whore controlling the fourth beast. And these Israelis, Edomites, are the fourth beast, are the whore. They posing as Israelites.
Stop. Come on, man. Get real and stop lying. It's the other way around. You taking orders from Tel Aviv, not the other way around.
Exactly.
So now the way we're going to look at this is we're going to look at this sudden move that occurs, as I mentioned earlier, only 3 days after this. Now you have the vital shipping lanes reopened. They were reopened 3 days ago, 4 days ago then. And that following the interim memorandum of understanding. That is why, if you recall, I used the term, this is not a final deal. It's the surrender deal. That's the reality of it. And that's when you have the US president sign Donald Trump in Versailles. You all remember that clip I shared with you. And the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, both of them signed to end this regional war. So what I wanted to do is I want to share with you some key factors behind Iran's action, because you need to understand these dynamics. And I'm going to play some clips pertaining to this, and I'll play clips towards the end. So make sure you stay with me till the end. First of all, we have the ceasefire violation, because here is what the Iran Central Command, military command, said and accused that the US of a bad faith and a clear breach of its commitments by failing to end the fighting in Lebanon and secure a complete withdrawal of the Israeli forces. If the US has this much power over Israel, then they would have been able to do it, but they couldn't. And that is exactly where, and I'm going to play a clip for you here pertaining to exactly what I'm talking about. This way, you'll have an idea. Take a look, take a listen, take a look, and take a listen, please. There we go.
On an insane murder. Israelis are going on an insane murder spree in Lebanon right now. They're doing this to violate the ceasefire between the US and Iran. And you know what? They've been successful. Iran just closed the Strait of Hormuz. Back to square one. Subscribe for more.
And it tells you right there. That means the US has no power whatsoever. Iran, civilian uranium enrichment. You know, it's like we're going back to square one. You know, you think the American negotiators have learned something from the last few months? Apparently not. Because here is what the US is demanding also. The US is demanding explicit, verifiable guarantees that Iran will never again close or mine the Strait of Hormuz. Well, I say to Washington, good luck with that. Because what happened when as soon as the delegation arrived, by the way, Donald Trump issued a threat against the delegation. As a matter of fact, there were reports of the possibility of assassinating one of the negotiators. That's Mohammed. His name is Mohammed Bakir Kalibaf. He's a politician. He's a former IRGC brigadier general who served as the Speaker of Parliament of Iran since 2020. And as of April 2026, he has been described as handling the strategic matters of Iran. And this is why the delegation of Iran walked out. They walked out in protest after Donald Trump threatened to strike Iran's overage support for Hezbollah.
Okay, so this video right here is Caught Off Guard. That's the name of it. Why Iran suddenly moved. Why Iran's sudden move terrifies the U.S. and Israel. You want to watch all of that. You got anything on that, AJ?
And just, Brother Leonard, it would just another how you can see what kind of people they are. You know, if they cared about the U.S. citizens, they would not do anything, but they would make it work. Work out a deal where they could keep it open. But it seemed like they got an agenda.
Exactly. They intention is to bring it down. That's what I'm saying. They want to bring it, they keep it closed to bring the West down because they want to rule the world. So yeah, with that. So my last video is on it's about Trump's health. This part of the show, because they ain't number the show. But check it out. Smoke and mirrors.
All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. It is Tuesday, June 23rd, and boy, oh boy, do I have some spicy rumors for you. So in just a second, Trump is potentially hiding a health crisis, and he's getting secret treatment at the White House getaway known as Camp David. So we'll dive into that. We also have Trump in disarray as the Iran war is now officially the most hated war in U.S. history. Wild, wild stuff. Also, we have a bunch of Zionist mutants raging and mauling over just the prospect of peace, over just like a couple tiny steps in the direction of peace, not even like a finalized peace deal. Just the fact that it's now a potential is leading to the meltdown of all meltdowns. And then also Tulsi Gabbard caught taking orders from a sex cult leader and more. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps us out massively. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Thank you guys for all of your support. As you know, this is real independent media. We're very proud of that fact. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack and go sub to the Corin's World YouTube channel and come hang out with us on Monday nights over there for Kyle and Corin. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. And I'm going to start with this here. It's official. President Trump is going to Camp David this weekend instead of Florida or remaining at the White House per his official schedule. Trump very infrequently goes to Camp David. 47 will head there tonight and come back to the White House Sunday. So he went there for a couple days over the weekend. As Eric Doherty points out here, that is very, very rare that he does that. Usually he goes to Mar-a-Lago and plays golf, or he'll stay at the White House. But remember, we have the Iran negotiations that started over the weekend. Well, those were happening in Switzerland. Donald Trump did not go to Switzerland. He sent J.D. Vance, he sent Jared Kushner, he sent Steve Witkoff, and he randomly went to Camp David. Now, historically, Camp David is used for, honestly, these kinds of negotiations. If you have some sort of high-level negotiation about war and peace, like I believe, for example, when Bill Clinton went there, I think he was trying to negotiate in Israel-Palestine peace agreement, among other things that went down there. But Trump went there, and people looking around going, okay, like, why are you going there? Well, Chris D. Jackson says, I've been told by reliable sources that Trump goes here to get treatment for whatever his condition is, because it is much more private than Mar-a-Lago and the White House. Now, remember, we heard the other day he's seen 22 different specialists just in his time since getting back in the White House. He's had, what, 5 visits to the hospital or the doctor? He's having these secret visits to the dentist that he says in Mar-a-Lago. Very bizarre things happening around his health. Clearly, they've been engaged in a massive cover-up, both when it comes to his physical health and his cognitive health. We also have this. This is a new one that people are not talking much about. Now, when he was at the G7 summit, oh, he was a mess, bro. You guys saw him. He was a fucking mess. He was like pale. Now, for him, pale is like normal skin color because normally he's like bright nuclear orange. but like his mouth was open. He was staring into outer space as like Macron was telling all the world leaders, hey, look at the camera and smile, say cheese. He wasn't able to do it. He was wandering off the side of the stage. He was lying about Meloni saying that she wants a picture with him, sparking a massive crisis over that. He could not stop farting. He was audibly farting very loudly, potentially even sharding. Even Howard Nutlick was behind him like, what the fuck was that? But also noticed at the G7 summit is a little something that people aren't talking much about, but it's kind of a big deal. Listen to this.
Be a goddamn shame if the president was also diabetic. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, heart failure, and yes, diabetes. So that looks just like the wound you get from a finger stick from checking blood sugar. There's also this shot. You can see that little guy right there on the ring finger. Now, it would make perfect sense for him as a patient to develop type 2 diabetes because he famously eats trash all the goddamn time. I just recently found out that he had a card in his wallet for years that guaranteed him free McDonald's for life after doing an ad for McDonald's. That was his payment. He's had a love affair with McDonald's food for decades. And of course, eating poorly over decades reduces your body's sensitivity to insulin. It eventually kills off the cells in your pancreas that produce the insulin to control your blood sugar. But what does this mean clinically for all of the stuff that he already has going on? Diabetes, if it's uncontrolled and the patient is non-compliant, as we know the president is, has a drastic effect on every other system in your body and all of your vital organs. One of the main symptoms I come across as a home health physical therapist is neuropathy in the bilateral lower extremities, neuropathy in the feet and ankles. I have many patients who really cannot feel their feet. And if you can't feel your feet, your fall risk goes through the roof. With his balance already being bad, if he is having decreased sensation in his lower extremities, it's only a matter of time before he has a fall where he injures himself and does not recover. Happy Monday.
Now, I don't know this other like cut on his hand too. Does anybody have theories about this other cut on his hand here? But the pinprick in the finger does seem pretty straightforward. So now we're talking diabetes is on the table, which by the way, it would make sense. He's 80 years old and obese and he's always eating like shit. I don't know. We've never heard a story of like, oh, he went on this like health kick this one time and he was on this diet. He's taken diet pills and he's allegedly abused uppers his whole life. Adderall is just one example. Remember the sniffing he was doing at the Hillary Clinton debate where he couldn't stop. And you have people who worked with him on The Apprentice who said he would snort uppers all the time. And he was sort of like an addict to uppers. But that you have dementia and it's progressing rapidly. So there's the cover-up that's going on now is way above and beyond anything we've ever seen before in the history of this country. We've seen a lot of cover-ups in the history of this country. There was a big deal made about Joe Biden and his health struggles. This is far above and beyond what Joe Biden dealt with. I mean, we see the evidence right in front of our eyes of certainly cognitive faculties just imploding. I mean, this guy has lost all executive function and impulse control. He has behavioral disinhibition, like when he screams quiet piggy to a journalist and he says like, you're a stupid person, you're a stupid person. He does confabulation all the time. He has memory lapses. He has a decline in verbal complexity. He has repetition and fixation where he can't let shit go. He gets hung up on one thing. That's 100% what he does. When I say the sea, I mean S-E-E, not like the ocean, the sea, S-E-A. I mean S-E-E. And he'll bring that up, and then he'll say, like, did you know that dumb ends in a B? It's like, yeah, we've all known that forever. But he's acting like nobody knew that. Like, he just figured it out at fucking 80 years old. Is because that obsession with words and letters is tied to the cognitive decline. It's phonemic paraphasia 101. And there's,
Okay. Do you see any signs of that?
I've seen clips of Trump being, looking unhealthy and stuff, just like Biden.
Looking delusional.
Right, but like you said, who's to know if all that's an actor, all that. I don't know him, but I've seen him in clips where they've shown, say his hands were swollen and got veins pop, I don't know what they call that, but when you can see your veins real visibly.
Yeah, right, yeah,
Sir.
yeah. But he always been like that. That's part of being a Gentile, I guess you could say, or Anglo-Saxon. But
Yes.
yeah. So we're gonna pick a scripture. We're gonna read that scripture and break it down. Okay.
Right, yes, sir. And I got Brother Leonard, Isaiah 45. And
Okay.
yes, sir. This is Isaiah 45 in verses 11 and 12. And it says, thus saith the Lord, the Holy One of Israel and his maker. Ask me of things to come concerning my sons and concerning the work of my hands. Command you me. I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. And shalom, that's Isaiah 45, verses 11 through 12.
Okay, you got anything on that?
Just Brother Leonard in verse 11, how you had showed us in Isaiah 44 and what's the Isaiah 44 and 6, where
Right.
it's the Lord of hosts there,
Right.
and the king is there, and they're both right here in Isaiah 45 and 11 too. You got the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, and his maker.
Right. So let me put that together right quick. So
Right.
I was saying earlier about this. So if we go to the book of Enoch, like I said, you're lost in the south if you ain't reading the book of Enoch. So in Enoch chapter 7, chapter 20, he tells you these are the name of the holy angels. See that? So there ain't but 7 holy angels. Yahweh ain't no holy angel. He created the holy ones, the 7 of them. So he says, these are the names of the holy angels who watch: Uriel, Raphael, Raguel, Michael, Serachiel, Gabriel, Remiel, right? So read that again, what you just read.
Thus saith the Lord, the Holy One of
The
Israel.
Holy One of Israel. See that?
Sure.
So the Yahweh, it's not Yahweh. And it definitely ain't Jesus.
Right.
So another precept to add to that one is right here. You say how you get to the point where you think where it's supposed to be Michael, right? So now I'm in Daniel, right quick. So I'm in Daniel, right? And this, I mean, like I say, who you gonna listen to? You gonna listen to these angels, or you gonna listen to Michael? I mean, you gonna listen to Peter and Paul and the apostles, or you gonna listen to these angels that was there in the beginning? I just showed you they was way back in Genesis 1:26. They're the first beings the Most High create, form. So I'm in Daniel chapter 10. This is what Gabriel tells us. Says, start at verse 18, 10 and 18. Then there came again and touched me like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, this is Gabriel, then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia, and I will, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Now here you go, 21, this is Daniel 10 and 21, this Gabriel talking. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, Holy One. See that? He one of the holy ones. Michael, your prince. So he's the prince over Israel, the Holy One. That's what Gabriel telling us. Gabriel's the Holy One also. You see, he's talking, like I said, who you gonna listen to? This angel right here, back and forth from the heaven to heavens. You're gonna listen to him, or you're gonna listen to Peter and Paul and Matthew and them. Okay, and then this scripture of truth is the book of life that's up in heaven. That's how the prophets are able to prophesy, because these angels come down from looking in this book, telling them what's going to happen in the future. Prime example. Let me give you an example. Okay, Genesis 18. I'm in Genesis 18 right quick. Okay, so Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel came to see Abraham concerning the seed. So it says in Genesis 18, and the Lord spake unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent during the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men, these 3 angels, we made in their image. Go back to Genesis 1:26. They made us in their image. We ain't made in their image. I mean, they ain't made in our image. We made in their image. So he says, and the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent during the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked. Lo, 3 men, 3 angels stood by him, and when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground and said, my Lord. So here goes the Lord right here. One of these angels is the Lord. And he said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort. Check it out. And I will, a morsel of bread, comfort ye your hearts. After that, ye shall pass on. Now, therefore, ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent under Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 morsels of fine meal, knead it, make cakes upon the heat. And Abraham ran unto the herd, fetched the calf tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, and he hastened to dress it. Check it out. He made it. They got cakes, and they got a calf right here. They just cooked, roasted, and then they ate. And he took the butter and the milk and the calf, which he had drank, which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he said, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. So like I said, we made in their image. If we eating and doing all that, they eating and they can do it. We made in their image. And we see that right here. But here go the point I'm making. 9. And they said unto him, where is Sarah, thy wife? And he said, behold, in a tent. Now watch this, 10. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, 9 months. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it at the tent door, and which was before him. See that? So where he getting that from? We just read in Daniel chapter 10, the book of life. He's looking at it. And they came down, these 3 angels came down to tell Abraham, Sarah gonna have a son this time next year. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, let's go to 21. Okay, just for GP. Okay, 21. And lo, I'm in Genesis 21. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. This is the Lord of hosts. This is Michael right here. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. Not Yahweh, and it ain't JC. He says, and the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken to him. So see that? God had spoken to him. It wasn't God that spoke to him. In Genesis 18, it's the Lord of hosts. And so let's look at that story right there. Now go, why in the hell would why would he send Gabriel to have, for Mary to have an immaculate child? Look what Michael just done. Why would you have Gabriel to do what he done. Don't make no sense. It's garbage. Okay? Anyway. So you good.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah. So like I said, you wanna join in on these classes, or you sure you got some answers, need some answers or some questions, you can call 337-802-0889. And like I said, we have the women's line on Thursday. Then we have classes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 5 times out of the week. The hardest working Hebrew on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, you can call that number. Then we can start sending the link to you, and then you can check it out. Okay. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody tomorrow. We have our reading through the Tanakh tomorrow. And the women can come in through YouTube. It's 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.